Welcome to my channel. This video is a beginner's guide for those who are interested in learning CLO3d but don't know where to start. In this video, I will show you how to create a pattern, step by step, using pictures of your t-shirt. You will also learn the basic function and tools, and be able to start using the software immediately. CLO3d actually provides many great tutorial lessons online, and it breaks down into many different sections. However, it took me almost 2 weeks to finish watching all the videos, and I still struggled a lot when I started using the software. That's why I decided to make this video. Once you know the complete process from beginning to the end, it will make it easier to understand when you watch those tutorial videos from CLO3d. Let's get it started. Step 1. Download CLO3d software. This is pretty straightforward. Just go to CLO3d website and click download. Make sure your computer is compatible with the program. I have attached the list of minimum requirements for both Mac and PC. You can find this information on CLO website as well. CLO3d offers 30 days free trial. You can decide if you would like to subscribe at the end of the trial. Once you download the app and log in, you need to do a quick setup. Go to top window bar and click on Setting. Select User Setting. Click View Controls, and you can choose what type of mouse you have for your computer. Then I will leave everything else as preset. Next, click on User Interface, and you can choose your unit system. Since I am in United States, I will choose Inch. Under Mode and Toolbar, you can choose if you like the toolbar to be on top of 2D and 3D window or on the side. In my case, I have them on the side of the window. This is all you need to do for setting up. Let's take a look at the CLO3d layout. I divided them into 4 parts. Number 1 is the main working area, including 3D and 2D windows. On the right bottom corner, you have the option to view only 3D or 2D or split window. Also, it has the Reset Layout button to let you go back to the original layout. Scrolling middle mouse button is how you will zoom in and out in both 3D and 2D window. Panning in both 3D and 2D, you will hold left mouse button plus Alt if you are using Windows. For Mac, hold left mouse button and Option key. When you have an avatar in the 3D window, you can hold the right mouse button and move up, down, or left, right to rotate the avatar. There are few shortcut keys to view the avatar. Number 2, front view. And number 8, back view. These two are the ones you will be using a lot. You can always use shortcut 2 to reset the avatar back to center front position. On left top of the 3D window, you have another toolbar. Go down to the last one that looks like a blue sphere. Click Show Ground Grid. This is the default setting when you first open CLO. Basically, it's like a floor in 3D window. When you first add the avatar, it will always position in the center ground floor. Let's move on to the next part. Number 2. Library and History. Library is where you will find the folders for avatars, fabrics. Click on the arrow, it will close the window to the side. Under Library, you can click the triangle to bring out more option. Personally, I prefer to double-click it, and it will show the folders in the lower window. You can either choose List View or Icon View. As for History window, it records each step of your process. If you make a mistake and want to go back to previous step, this is where you can go. It's like undo function. Number 3. Object Browser. This area will show all the objects such as fabric, stitch lines, hardware, trims in the 3D and 2D windows that you are using currently. You can add fabrics to this window and then assign it to whatever the pattern piece you select. To add the fabric, go back to Library and double-click Fabric folder. It will list all the preset fabrics from CLO3d. Scroll up and down and double-click the fabric. It will add to Object window. or you can drag the fabric swatch to the window directly. Number 4. Property Editor. This window provides the details information on the object you select, and it allows you to change the property of the object. For example, if I select the avatar, I will be able to change the hair, skin colors of the avatar. If I select fabric in the object browser, I can add color to this fabric from Property Editor. We will dive in deeper on each part once we start making the t-shirt patterns. Step 2. Taking pictures and measurements of the t-shirt you want to make the pattern from. For this pattern, I am using one of my t-shirts as the sample. First, fold the t-shirt in half from the center and take pictures both front and back views. Then, we will need to get some measurements from the t-shirt. Measure the longest length of the t-shirt from shoulder to bottom hem. The widest length from center to underarm. With these two measurements, you will be able to form a rectangle which we will be using later in CLO. Repeat the same process on one side of the sleeve. Fold the sleeve in half from the center and take pictures both front and back sleeve. Then get the two measurements from the sleeve as well. Once you are done, save all 4 pictures as JPEG in your computer. Step 3. Bring out the avatar. Go to Library and double-click on Avatar. Since I am making men's t-shirt today, I will pick an avatar under Male Avatar folder. CLO3d comes with 6 male avatars. Pick one you like and double-click to bring it to the 3D window. The default avatar is a size medium, but my t-shirt is a size small. To change avatar size, go back to Library. Under Avatar you will find Size folder. I will change to size 36, which is US size small. Double-click on the size, and the avatar will update the size automatically in 3D window. Step 4. Basic tools in 2D window. There are a few tools we need to know before working in 2D window. First tool is Transform Pattern. Shortcut A. You will use Transform Pattern tool to select pattern pieces and move around. Once you select the object and right-click on the mouse, a new window will pop up to give you a lot of options you can do to the object. To unselect the object, just left-click mouse anyplace in 2D window. Second tool you will use a lot is Edit Pattern, shortcut Z. You will use it to select any single or multiple points and lines to edit. Click any point or line from the pattern piece, and it will highlight as yellow. Right-click on mouse, you will also get the option window just like Transform Pattern tool. If you want to select multiple points or lines, just hold Shift key then click on the points or lines you want to select. Hold left mouse key and drag in 2D window, all the object within the dotted square will be select. Next tool is Polygon. Under Polygon, you will see more options. This is what you use to draw shapes in 2D window. Polygon is using 2 points to form a straight line or curve. To curve the line, hold the left key when you click the second point and drag. To continue, click right on the second point to draw next line. When you connect the first point to the last point, the piece will be created. Rectangle is the tool we will be using a lot later to make the t-shirt pattern. When you select Rectangle tool, click any place in 2D, and a new window will pop up. This window is for you to enter the measurements of the rectangle shape you like to create. Same thing for ellipse. Once you select the tool, click anywhere in 2D screen to get a pop-up window to enter diameter. For both rectangle and ellipse tool, you can use left mouse button to drag and create the shapes. Or hold Shift and drag, you will get an even square and circle. The last one will be internal polygon. This function is very similar to Polygon tool, but all the lines and shapes will be created inside the pattern pieces. This tool can be used to make like pockets, stitching lines, sewing lines, or a guideline to place buttons. So that's all the tools you need to know for now. Once you begin to make patterns, I will show you more tools and how to use them. Step 5. Import t-shirt pictures, trace them and clone as patterns. There are actually couple ways to do this. In this demo, I am going to upload the t-shirt pictures as a texture in Property Editor and import them onto the fabric. There are 4 pictures of the t-shirt including front and back bodice, front and back sleeve. So we are going to create 4 rectangles in the 2D windows. Each rectangle will be assigned with a fabric to be able to add a texture. First, go to Object Browser. Select Default Fabric and click Copy to create 3 more duplicates. You can double-click on it to rename the fabric. To make it more clear, I will label them front, back bodice, and front back sleeve. Now we have the fabric ready. Let's select the front bodice fabric to create the first rectangle shape. In 2D window, go to Toolbar under Polygon Tool, you will find Rectangle. Or just simply type the shortcut S on your keyboard to bring out the function. Click any place in 2D window, a new window will pop up for you to type in the measurements of the rectangle you want to create. This is where you will enter the measurements you got from the t-shirt earlier. The reason you want to use the t-shirt measurements to create the rectangle box is to make sure the pattern will match the size and fit of your sample. Once you made the first rectangle, we are going to duplicate one more for back bodice. Use Transform Pattern tool, shortcut A, right-click on the rectangle. Select Copy in the pop-up window and then paste in the 2D window. Select the second rectangle and go to Object Browser to assign back bodice fabric. We will repeat the same process to create 2 small rectangles for front and back sleeves, and assign fabric to each piece. Once you are done, it's time to upload the t-shirt pictures. First, click on the front bodice fabric and go to Property Editor window. Scroll down to Texture, click on the first symbol that looks like 4 squares. Locate where you saved your t-shirt pictures. Select front bodice picture and open. This is in fact the same way how you will add prints and texture to your garment. Now the t-shirt picture has become the prints on the fabric. Let's look at the 2D window. The t-shirt picture should appear on your first rectangle. However, the picture is too big. Go to Toolbar, find Edit Texture and click on it. You will see a scale wheel appeared in the 2D window. Click on the t-shirt picture. Use the arrow to move and rotate the t-shirt picture inside the rectangle shape. And scale the picture by dragging the middle bar of the scale wheel. Make sure only use the middle bar on the wheel to scale the t-shirt proportionally. This might take few times to scale the t-shirt to fit the rectangle, but it gets easier when you practice more. And don't worry if it's slightly bigger or smaller than the rectangle. We will adjust the patterns later. Align the center fold line of the t-shirt to the edge of the rectangle, because we are going to unfold the rectangle to get a full front bodice later. Now you know the way to bring out the pictures. Repeat the same process to upload back t-shirt bodice, and front and back sleeve pictures to the rest of the rectangles. By the way, at any point during the process, if you make a mistake, don't panic. You can either go to top of the window bar under Edit to undo, or simply use shortcut Command-Z in Mac and Control-Z in Windows to undo. After having all the t-shirt pictures inside the rectangles, let's start tracing them. Because my t-shirt is in a dark color, it might be hard to see when you trace the lines. To change that, go to Object Browser and select the fabric of the pattern piece you are going to trace. And go down to Property Editor. Adjust the opacity. Now you can easily see the seam lines on the t-shirt. To trace the t-shirt, go to Toolbar and select Internal Polygon, shortcut G. Because we are tracing lines within the rectangle shape, so we have to use internal polygon and not polygon. Click first point to start the drawing line, and second point to form a straight line. Remember we talked about earlier in this video on both internal polygon and polygon tools. To get a curve line, you need to hold the left mouse button on the second point and drag. If you are familiar with Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, this should be easy for you. Make sure each point is connected and the last point should join with the first. Once you do that, an internal shape will be created. Let's take a look at the pattern I just made. You can see the last line I did, it's a straight line instead of a curve line. When the last and first point join together, you won't be able to curve the line. To avoid this problem, you can avoid finishing the last line on a curve. Or you can go to Toolbar and select Edit Curve. Click on the straight line and drag to your ideal curve shape. After tracing the T-shirt inside the rectangle. The final step. Use Transform Pattern tool to click on the internal shape. Right-click on the mouse, and select Clone as Pattern from the pop-up window. And there, you make the front bodice pattern. Since we are still using the front bodice fabric, this piece will have the same texture fabric, in this case which will be the T-shirt picture. To get rid of it, go to Object Browser. Click on Front Bodice Fabric, and go down to Property Editor. Delete the texture file. And remember to bring the opacity back to 100%. Also, I should mention one thing. Everything you create in 2D window will also appear in the 3D window as well. Now you know how to trace and generate a pattern piece, you can do the same to create back bodice and sleeve patterns. I just realized that I forgot to trace the little shoulder piece on the front bodice picture. This is actually part of the back bodice. If this happens to you, you can just bring out the T-shirt picture again to trace the missing piece. If you want to label the new piece, just select Pattern Annotation from the toolbar, and click on the piece to type whatever you want to name that piece. You can also delete all the rectangles in the 2D window. Step 6. Adjust pattern pieces. Now after tracing all the pieces, we need to check and adjust the lines and shapes. You want to make sure all the seams are matching, and there's no weird shape or angle. First, let's flip the back bodice piece. So the shoulder seam will be the same side as the front bodice. Use Transform Pattern tool and right-click on the back bodice. Select Flip horizontally from the pop-up window. Then use Transform Pattern tool to rotate the little shoulder piece to match the back. We are going to connect these two pieces by using Edit Pattern tool. Hold Shift key and select the two lines you want to connect. Right-click your mouse to bring the pop-up window, and choose Merge. It will combine the two pieces together. Let's also merge front and back sleeve. To delete the merge lines inside the pattern, go to Toolbar and select Trace tool. Then, click on the line and hit Delete key. To check pattern lines, let's bring out the T-shirt measurements. You want to make sure the pattern pieces match your sample, but first, go to the toolbar inside 2D window and find 2D information display. Select Show Line Length. Once this function is activated, it will show the measurements of the whole pattern pieces. This way you will know how much you need to increase or decrease the length. There are a few ways you can use to fix lines and points. Number 1. Adjust patterns using Edit Pattern tool to move the points. You can use it to move selected point up, down, in and out until it gets to the right shape. Also you can drag on the extension arm from the point to adjust the curve. Number 2. Use Smooth Curve. When you select this tool, you can simply click on a curve line and drag it. Or, you can use 2 points to select the section of the line you want to curve or smooth. And it will create a new line between those 2 points. Click on the original section and then select the new line. Hold left mouse button and drag the new line to the shape you want and release. The original line will be replaced. And all the points on the line will also be removed. Number 3. Convert to curve point. Ideally, after you adjust the pattern, You want to remove most of the points on the pattern outline. It will make it easier to sew later. You don't want to just delete the points on the pattern outline. If the points is on a curved line, after deleting the point, it will turn the curve to a straight line. The best way to remove points is using Edit Pattern tool. And right-click on the point. Then select Convert to Curve Point. This way, you can keep the shape without having a lot of points. Number 4. Right-click on the selected line, and choose Change Length. You will be able to enter the length you want. However, try to use this function to do the minor fixing, like changing the length within 0.5 inch. This way the pattern shape will stay the same. I prefer to use Edit Pattern tool to move the points around and get close enough to the length, then use this function. One last thing to add for Smooth Curve tool. When it's a corner and sharp angle, you can use this tool to click on the point and drag. It will curve the corner or sharp angle. Also, I should mention, after you adjust and get a nice smooth curve line on the sleeve pattern, you probably get rid of all the unnecessary points. However, you need to have one point to divide front and back sleeve. This point should also match the shoulder seam when you sew it. Let's bring out the t-shirt measurements. Front sleeve length is 9 inches. Back sleeve total length is 10 inch. To add this point, go to Toolbar and find Add Point/Split Line. Move the arrow to the line and you will see a point appear. You can move the point to your desired split length. But the easier way is to right-click once you see the point. And in the pop-up window, it show yellow and blue highlighted lines. In this case, yellow is the front sleeve length, so I will enter the measurement from the t-shirt. And blue is the back sleeve, I will enter the correct length. This is the way to split the length with a point. So when you use sewing tool later, it's really easy to match front sleeve to front armhole, back sleeve to back armhole. That's all you need to use to adjust patterns for now. Practice few times, and you will get used to using the tools. You can always use undo when you make a mistake. Step 7. Arrange patterns in 3D window. After adjusting all the pattern pieces, we can now make a completed pattern group. First, let's unfold the front bodice by using Edit Pattern tool to click on the center front line, and choose Unfold in the pop-up window. And for the back bodice, you can use Transform Pattern tool to right-click and select Symmetric Pattern, with sewing. Do the same on the sleeve pattern. And there you go. You have a full set of t-shirt pattern. Let's go to 3D window. It looks like a mess now. To organize the pattern pieces in 3D window, use Transform Pattern tool to select all the pieces in 2D window. And the selected pattern will be highlighted in 3D window. Right-click on any highlighted piece in 3D window, and choose Reset 2D Arrangement. All the pattern pieces will reset to the same position as the pieces in 2D window. To place pattern pieces on avatar, first go to the toolbar on the left top of the 3D window. Under Avatar Display, select Show Arrangement Points. Or use shortcut Shift+F key to bring out the function. Go back to 2D to select Front Bodice Pattern. And the same piece will be highlighted in 3D. Then move the arrow to the matching blue point and left-click. This piece will be set as 3D Arrangement Position. Let's do that same for back bodice. Select either side of the back bodice, and find the matching blue point and left-click. Because we duplicated the other side of back bodice as symmetric pattern. When you place one side of the bodice, the other half will be placed automatically as a set. By the way, just let you know that the back bodice is supposed to be one piece for this t-shirt. I am going to fix that issue later. As you can see, after you place the piece, a gizmo will appear in 3D window. Gizmo is the tool you can use in 3D window to move any pattern piece or the avatar. By selecting the color line of the gizmo, you can rotate the piece 360 degrees in that direction. Let's place sleeves on the avatar as well. And that's it. I am done with the arrangement. Step 8. Sewing tool and simulate. Now we are close to the end of the process. To me, the best part of using CLO3d program is it provides the sewing tools to put together the pieces you just created. It's like cutting a sample from the pattern, and sew the first prototype at a workshop. And you are doing all that by using this program. In CLO3d, both 2D and 3D window toolbars have sewing tool function. They are basically the same. In this video, we are only going to focus on the segment sewing tool in 2D window. This tool will let you sew the sections of the pattern together. Before we start sewing, in 3D window toolbar, you have the option to show or hide sewing lines. It's under 3D garment display, show threads. For beginners, it's good to have this function activated. It's easier to notice if there's any error occurs during sewing process. Now select segment sewing in 2D window toolbar. Click first section you want to sew, and it will create a notch in the section for you to match sewing easily. I started with right front shoulder seam, and then click on the right back shoulder seam. Make sure both notches matched. Once you selected these two segments, the sewing lines will appear in 3D window. Straight line means it's correct. If it's twisted, that means the sewing notches did not match. To correct the problem, Option 1 is to choose Edit Sewing from the toolbar to delete the sewing line and start over again. Option 2 is also use Edit Sewing tool, but right-click on one of the sewing segment and choose Reverse. That should be able to fix the issue. Now you know how to use the tool. Let's find the match seams and finish sewing. Remember, I still need to merge the back bodice? Use Edit Pattern tool. Hold Shift and select two center back lines, then right-click to choose Merge. Don't forget to use Trace tool to delete the merge lines inside the pattern. It's always nice to keep clean pattern pieces with less lines and points that might be confusing. Once you are done with sewing, here comes the fun part. In 3D window toolbar, select Simulate or simple hit the space bar to start the simulation. CLO will automatically connect all the pieces together and fit on the avatar. During simulation, the Select Move tool in 3D window will become a glove symbol. You can use it to pull and move the t-shirt till you like how it fits on the avatar. If there's something wrong during the simulation process, just click space bar to stop, and go back to check sewing lines. And finally, the t-shirt pattern is done. Step 9. Finishing. After you successfully simulated the garment pattern on the avatar without any issues, it's time to add the finishing to the garment and make it look nicer. First thing you can do is to add correct fabric. Remember, in the beginning of this video, we talk about how to select fabric from the library. Let me remind you again. Click on Library to bring out the window. Then double-click on Fabric, and the preset fabric list will show in the lower window. Scroll through and find the fabric that match the style of your garment. You can either double-click or drag the swatch directly to the object browser. Then select all the pattern pieces in the 2D window using Transform tool to drag the dotted square. Or shortcut Command plus A for Mac, Alt plus A for Windows. Go to Object Browser to assign fabric to all the pieces at once. To change color of the fabric, select the fabric in Object Browser, then go down to Property Editor and choose Color. Once you click on it, the color swatch window will show up. Just click on the color you like and the t-shirt will update to the color you select. The last thing I want to show you is to add bias around neckline. If you look at the t-shirt sample, neckline was finished with binding. Go to 3D window toolbar and choose binding. You can actually use this tool in both 3D and 2D window. Whatever is easier for you. In this case, I will demo in 3D window. Click one point to start and you will see the blue line. It's hard to finish the neckline with one continued blue line. So it's okay to click more points around the neckline to continue binding. For the neck binding, my last point will meet with the first. Double-click at the last point to end it. And CLO will generate the binding on the garment. Then, select Edit Binding from the toolbar and click on the neckline you just add the binding. Go to Property Editor and under Type, you can select the type of your binding. The bias on my t-shirt is showing outside. So I will select Over. After you select the type, it will update right away in the 3D window. Click Simulate and let the garment finish updating, then click Space to stop the simulation. You will get a better fit and more realistic looking result on avatar. There you have it. This is how you can make a pattern from pictures of a garment. You can use the same method to create a dress, jacket and many items. You may feel overwhelmed at first, especially if you have no experiences on pattern making or first time using this software. And, of course, I couldn't teach you all the tools and functions in one video. However, I hope after watching this tutorial, you will have a good idea of how the pattern is made in CLO3d. Then explore deeper on the tools you want to learn later. When you get used to the software and familiar with all the tools, there are a few steps you can skip to make the process faster. In next video, I will show you how to add graphic to the garment, rendering, and create animation. Please leave comments to let me know how I can improve my videos. And don't forget to click like and subscribe.